Hello dear friend, in this video we will talk a little about the Velociraptor, a genus of dromaeosaurid, theropod dinosaur, that lived during the latter part of the Cretaceous period. Welcome to DinoPedia, your dinosaurs channel. This channel create content about dinosaurs, and also about all the fantastic creatures of prehistory, and the events that influenced these beings. Let's start the journey at the prehistoric age. What is its name? This reptile name is Velociraptor mongoliensis. Velociraptor, in Latin, means swift seizer, or swift thief. Velociraptor's name is commonly shortened to raptor. What is its size? The size of Velociraptor, in the motion picture, Jurassic Park, is not real. Velociraptor was roughly the size of a turkey. Velociraptor was a mid-sized dromaeosaurid, with adults measuring up to 2.07 meters, 6 feet, 9.5 inches long, 0.5 meters, 1 foot, 7.5 inches high at the hip, and weighing up to 15 kilograms, 33 pounds, though there is a higher estimate of 19.7 kilograms, 43.5 pounds. Velociraptor is smaller than other dromaeosaurids, like Deinonychus and Achillobator. What did it look like? This animal was bipedal, and had about the size of a modern turkey. A very striking feature of the Velociraptor was its sickle-shaped claws, present on its 2 legs. Velociraptor have a relatively large skull, which is about 9.1 inches, 23 centimeters long, concave on the upper surface, and convex on the lower surface, as a genus of dromaeosaurid theropod dinosaur, and it can be distinguished from other dromaeosaurids by its long and low skull, with an upturned snout. Velociraptor had 13 to 15 teeth in its upper jaw, and 14 to 15 teeth in its lower jaw. These teeth were widely spaced and serrated, though more strongly on the back edge than the front. Extrapolating from the smaller, more primitive, feathered raptors that predated it by millions of years, paleontologists believe velociraptors sported feathers too, due to having quill knobs, just like today's birds, on their bones, where feathers would have attached. Artists have depicted this dinosaur as possessing everything from pale, colorless, chicken-like tufts to green plumage, worthy of a South American parrot. Whatever the case, Velociraptor almost certainly wasn't lizard-skinned, as it's portrayed in the Jurassic movies, assuming velociraptors needed to sneak up on their prey, were on safer ground, assuming that they weren't too brightly feathered. Velociraptor's tail, of hard and fused bones, was inflexible, but likely kept it balanced as it ran, hunted, and jumped. Velociraptor, like other dromaeosaurids, had a large manus, or also known as hand, with 3 strongly curved claws, which were similar in construction and flexibility to the wing bones of modern birds. There are strong indications that the forelimbs were feathered. What did it eat? Velociraptor was a carnivore that hunted and scavenged for food. It spent the vast majority of the time eating small things, which likely included reptiles, amphibians, insects, small dinosaurs, and mammals, said David Hone, a paleontologist at Queen Mary University of London. Talking about velociraptors, there is also the possibility of hunting in flocks and slaughtering victims much larger than themselves. Where did it live? Velociraptor fossils have been found in both Inner and Outer Mongolia. In Central Asia, the Gobi Desert is famous by having velociraptor fossils. When did it live? Velociraptor lived approximately 75 to 71 million years ago, during the latter part of the Cretaceous period. The velociraptor fossils have been discovered in Mongolia. A second species, Velociraptor osmolskae, was named in 2008 for skull material from Inner Mongolia and China. How did it behave? A very important question about the velociraptor's behavior, and about them hunting in flocks, with hunting techniques and strategies. The level of complexity of these techniques is still the object of study, but there is another theory that confirms that the velociraptors did not feed their young. This could suggest that they did not walk in packs, because they did not even accompany their own relatives, but this issue still does not have a concrete solution, and continues to be studied. There are 2 hypotheses about the usefulness of the sickle-shaped claws. One was that they were used to tear their victims, and the other was that they were used to hold their victims while they devoured them. Some paleontologists argue that the forelimbs were used to hold their victims, while they devoured them, as they were not meant to fly, glide, or to support themselves on the ground. A special bone, in its wrist, allowed it to swivel its wrist sideways, in a flapping motion, and to fold its arm against its body, like a bird. This motion allowed it to snap its arms forward, to grab fleeing prey, and is an important part of the flight stroke in modern birds. There are indications that the velociraptors were great at camouflaging and surprising their victims. Researchers said that velociraptors have an excellent sense of smell, and they also hunted at night, and they probably had excellent eyesight. How was it discovered? The first velociraptor fossil was found by an expedition of the American Museum of Natural History in 1922 to the Gobi Desert. This find was a complete but crushed skull and was associated with a raptorial second claw. In 1924, Henry Fairfield Osborn, the museum president, named his type species, Velociraptor mongoliensis, after its country of origin, and designated the skull and claw the type specimen of the new genus, Velociraptor. The expedition that New York's American Museum of Natural History dispatched to Outer Mongolia, by way of western China, in a series of fossil hunting expeditions, led by the famous paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews. Although Andrews personally discovered and named many Mongolian dinosaurs in the early 1920s, including Oviraptor and Protoceratops, the honor of unearthing Velociraptor went to one of his associates, Peter Kaizen, who stumbled upon a crushed skull and toe claw at a dig site in the Gobi Desert. Unfortunately, for Kaizen, the honor of naming Velociraptor didn't go to him, or even to Andrews, but to Henry Fairfield Osborn, the president of the American Museum of Natural History, who, after all, wrote all the checks. Several expeditions took place throughout the remainder of the 20th century. During the Cold War, North American expeditions were blocked from Mongolia, while Soviet and Polish expeditions collaborated with Mongolian teams to recover several more Velociraptor specimens. The legendary fighting dinosaurs specimen, which is considered a national treasure of Mongolia, was discovered in 1971 by a Polish-Mongolian team, and shows a velociraptor battling against a single Protoceratops. Between 1988 and 1990, additional velociraptor fossils were discovered by a Chinese-Canadian team in northern China. The Flaming Cliffs fossil site is where the original Velociraptor specimens had been unearthed. The most famous discovery is a near-complete Velociraptor, caught in the act of battling with an equally well-preserved Protoceratops, was announced in 1971. In the late 1980s, a joint of Chinese and Canadian team discovered Velociraptor specimens in northern China, and a joint Mongolian and American team unearthed additional velociraptors at the Flaming Cliffs site. One of the specimens discovered on this latter expedition was informally named Ichabod Craniosaurus, after Nathaniel Hawthorne's Headless Horseman, because it was missing its skull. Later, in 2007, paleontologists discovered a velociraptor forearm bearing the unmistakable imprint of quills, the first and definite proof that, as had long been suspected, Velociraptor sported feathers rather than reptilian scales. The Velociraptor osmolske was discovered at Bayan Mandahu in Mongolia, the locality with deposits between approximately 83 and 70 million years old. It is named by paleontologist Pascal Godefroy after the Polish paleontologist Hulska Osmolska. Additional information. Until the discovery of this animal, scientists believed that all dinosaurs were slow and stupid, but Velociraptor revealed to the world the dinosaur's agility and dexterity. The studies that followed on this species also showed that he was gifted with a lot of cleverness and intelligence. Despite having feathers, however, the arms of velociraptors were too short to allow them to fly or even glide. Velociraptor retained its feathers, and possibly used them to attract mates, regulate body temperature, protect eggs from the environment, or generate thrust and speed while running up inclines. What is still not known about it? The hunting method of the velociraptors, whether it was in packs, or whether they walked and hunted alone, still generates debates among paleontologists. The use of their sickle-shaped claws, whether to tear or to hold their victims while they were devoured, also generates many debates in the scientific community. Velociraptor and the media. The velociraptors had a prominent role in the franchises Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. They are also present in other films and documentaries. It's a sad fact that the velociraptors' claim to pop culture fame in Jurassic Park is based on a lie. The special effects wizards have long since confessed that they modeled their velociraptor after the much bigger and much more dangerous-looking raptor, Deinonychus antiropus. Reptile data. Scientific classification. Kingdom. Animalia. Phylum. Chordata. Clade. Dinosauria. Clade. Saurashia. Clade. Theropoda. Family. Dromaeosauridae. Subfamily. Velociraptorinae. Genus. Velociraptor. By Henry Fairfield Osborn, 1924. Type species. Velociraptor mongoliensis. By Henry Fairfield Osborn, 1924. Other species. Velociraptor osmolskae. By Pascal Godefroy, 2008. The velociraptor, in real life, may be a little different from the one shown in the cinema, but that does not make them less fascinating creatures, but, despite their size, they were formidable predators. If you are watching the video until now, don't forget to like it and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Goodbye.